Recently, my father made it clear to me that it is time to bear witness against the false prophets and the false messiahs of the world individually. I will measure them with the same measuring rod that each of us, including myself, must measure ourselves with. The measuring rod is the character of Elohim as defined by his word. Yeshua said plainly that all will be judged by this measuring rod. I come not in my own name to bear this witness or this testimony. My Father's word testifies that he has sent me. He has sent me to testify to the world against everything that is false and to begin to rebuild the old waste places. Most of you listening to this believe that we are approaching the end of man's age, and most of you believe that Yeshua will soon return. So with this understanding, you know that there will be two witnesses that will emerge on the scene. These two witnesses have a job to perform, so not only will the word of Elohim testify to them, you can know who they are by their works. They are being sent to bear witness against all that is false and bear witness to why the coming judgment that is known as the time of Jacob's trouble is being sent forth. They are not being sent forth with smooth talk, but rather with fire proceeding out of their mouths. I have spoken who my Father's word testifies as the first witness. It is his Son, the high priest, who has entered into the last stone of his temple, just as he entered into the other 143,999 stones. He is the faithful and true witness, and I am receiving my revelations from him. We are the two olive trees who are anointed to bear witness against mankind and to cry out to a people to return to the narrow path that leads to eternal life in his kingdom. Knowing that these two witnesses would come forth at the end, we also know that there will be many false witnesses and false messiahs and false prophets. Yeshua spoke that the days would be shortened, which they have been, and he has defined how they were shortened. I've spoke about this in other videos. And after he spoke this, he said in Matthew 24, "At that time, if any man say to you, Lo, here is the Messiah, or there, do not believe it, because there will arise false messiahs and false prophets, and will give great signs and wonders. Thus they will deceive, and if they were able, even the elect." Today I'm going to single out one who has entered onto the scene, who is one of a few of the that I've heard of so far who are claiming to be the Messiah. The rest of them don't pack much weight, but they still have lots of people following them as well. But this guy's a little more serious. The reason that I'm starting with this man is because he announced that he is the Messiah on the same day that my Father announced previously that the fourth trumpet would begin to sound. This man has made some claims about some of the destruction that has already taken place, and spoken of the coming destruction as well. So his false message will take roots. People will be deceived by him because they will perceive these signs as from him. And he is quite the actor. He even looks like the renditions of what people think Yeshua looked like. Yet even this should be a flag against him, because the modern day depiction of Yeshua took several centuries to reach their conventional standard that this man resembles. And the renditions of him are an abomination anyway, because they break the second commandment. This man says that he has come as lightning to the world from the clouds. He makes this claim saying that Yeshua meant that the lightning was symbolic for the electrical currents that run the computers that people use to view the internet. And because some corporation refers to the internet now as the cloud, and some private intranets are called clouds, I guess, that he is, and since he is being seen on the internet, he thinks that this fulfills this prophecy. He is calling himself Lord Rael, but his name is Raymond Elwood. He was born from the loins of a man named William Collins, but later his mother Ruth married a man named Raymond Elwood Sr., and he gave him his name. His name his claim is that the name Rael means the word of Elohim, and since we know from the book of Revelations that Yeshua was given the name, the word, or the logos of Elohim, he claims that he is a match to this. His claim is that The word of Elohim was originally spoken as the word Rael, but he even admits that the sources for this are what he calls Egyptian Judaism. Not sure how he fit in. Maybe he's trying to say Egyptian Hebrewism, but he uses the word Egyptian Judaism. Moses and the other prophets refer to Yahweh's word with two different Hebrew words, Daba and Peh, or Peh or Peh. And Moses certainly dates back to the time of Egypt, so it looks pretty clear that Ray is certainly Egypt-based and not Hebrew. And of course, I'm not going to get into all that with the sun's rays and different things too, but a lot of pagan seminology and similar things there as well. I have no doubt after looking at the rest of his claims that the word is indeed derived from Egypt. Supposedly his father, William Collins, had some secret knowledge of the Messiah, he says on his site. I'm not sure why his father was laying with his mother, Ruth, to impregnate her outside of marriage in the first place, if this was the case, that he had some sort of secret knowledge of the Messiah. In any case, he makes a big deal that he was born under the sign of Gemini. He also claims that his alleged miracle birth, because he says his mother was sterile, came under the zodiac period of Virgo. Isaiah prophesies in chapter 47 that the astrologers and the people that look to the stars for signs need saving, and they will be burnt up if they don't repent. He makes the claim that Yeshua was not really born of a virgin, and that his mother Mary was really impregnated by a Roman soldier, he says, getting this from some Gnostic teachings. His claim is that the scriptures really meant that Yeshua was born under the sign of Virgo and not from a virgin. And of course, Raymond's father Collins was also a Roman soldier, he says, and since he was born under the sign of Virgo himself, he is claiming that he's a match as the reincarnate Messiah. Once again, his teachings contradict the scriptures. He is actually reinventing them. If you look at all of his writings and stuff, that is proofs that he's the Messiah. You might be thinking, why am I bothering with this guy with so many obvious red flags against him? I am standing up for the children of Elohim by bearing witness to who is false and to warn them of the snakes. Because I want people to come to the truth, so that the darkness needs to be exposed and the light needs to be spoke about. And this man came forth on the exact day, as I said, that the fourth trumpet began to sound. He is no small potato. I am telling you, he will keep many in the deception, because he is riding the wings of the coming wrath, just as Ronald Wineland and others are. And they're saying these things, the destruction is going to be here, which it is, so people will listen to him. You compound that with this guy's looks, like I say, he's certainly going to be in a position to deceive many. The wrath is going to be here, so people will be inclined to believe these deceivers. And Satan has already planted the seeds of mysticism in the minds of many, and this man's doctrines play right into the mystic teachings of the Gnostics and such. Moses testified that if anyone seeks to lead you away from the path that our Creator gave us, that this person is false. This man is not teaching the narrow path. He comes with a different gospel than Yeshua and other prophets taught. Raymond also appears to be validating a Saturday Sabbath, because he has been publishing his message on Saturdays. Well, I haven't actually heard him speak about this. It certainly appears that's what he's validating. We'll have to see. And Elohim's word can easily prove that his Sabbaths are to be determined by the new moons, and they're not on a fixed day on the pagan Roman calendar. For that matter, I would like to ask Raymond why he calls the Creator God, when Yahweh Elohim made it clear that we are not to call him by the names that the false religions use for their supreme. Raymond seems to think that evil is okay. In one of his videos, he condemned people for saying that Elohim hates homosexuality. I'm sorry, Raymond. My father says that such should be put to death and purged out from our midst. So I just can't quite see how you're coming with the same message that our Creator has given us. Raymond must just be more righteous than his Creator, like so many of you are listening to this. A lot of you probably be offended that I just said that about homosexuality. Raymond does not see the poison that homosexuality is to the truth. What it does to relationships, true relationships and such, and what it does to society. It breaks down the moral fiber character. Why did Elohim destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? Because of the evil that was done. Raymond has a link on his website for anyone of any sexual orientation to become his priest. And part of the qualifications, well, actually part of the, not the qualifications, he has one qualification, I'll get to that in a minute, but part of the things he says, the defining the job of being a priest, is you will be a full-time priest wherever you're located. You will be paid very well. You will hold services at least twice a week. And this is open to all people, regardless of religion, gender, race, sexual orientation, marital status, or education. What is amazing is those who are practicing this abominable filth in the world are going to lap this up. And that's how he's going to gain his followers. Also, you have all the liberals and everything else. Anyway, you see, his message is going to be palatable to a lot of people. He says that all that is required to be one of his priests is the desire to serve. Well, how does this line up with our Creator's instructions for the priesthood? It does not. I'm not going to go into all the instructions, but we're commanded, actually everybody, every one of us is commanded to become totally set apart from everything that defiles. The basis for his doctrine is found in statements like, he has this on his site, love for each other is love for our Creator. Of course this is true, but is it the complete picture, the complete truth? According to the abomination of desolation, Saul of Tarsus, it was the complete picture. But what about according to the real Messiah and what he taught? Saul left out the greatest commandment as well, which is to love Yahweh Elohim with all of our heart, soul, and mind. It's odd that the Messiah would return leaving this out. It's odd because he would not. In Raymond's doctrine for the priesthood, he says that he holds no other doctrine higher than our acts of love and compassion to one another. This is leaving out the first 4 commandments, and it is leaving out the greatest commandment that all of the Torah hangs from. He is repeating Saul that the Torah is replaced by loving your neighbor as yourself. It is taking a part truth and making a whole truth out of it, and to do so is a lie. A part truth does not make a whole truth, especially when you leave out the most important part. Saul is easily proven to be false by the teachings of the true Messiah, yet this impostor quotes Saul's words at will. Yeshua's words testify that Raymond is false, just as they testify that Saul is false. And the other prophets' words also testify that both of them are false. They are 2 peas in the same pod, leaving out the most important doctrine that we have, which is to love Yahweh Elohim with all of our heart, soul, and mind. Speaking of the abomination of desolation, what does Raymond say about who this is? He says that it is the Creator's coming wrath and that the holy place is the heavens. He says that the inbound planet X is the abomination of desolation. He is saying that it is the armies of heaven that are coming, and it ties this in with the common Elenin. However, he does not say that planet X is Elenin, so I'm not sure if this is his claim that they're actually the same. Sadly, people will believe his claim because our Creator's wrath is coming, and many do see it. Yet my Father's word, through his prophecies, has already testified to the abomination of desolation being Saul in his writings. There's a video that is posted on this site explaining this, called the abomination of desolation. One thing that is for sure, though, Wormwood is heading this way, but it is not the abomination of desolation. It is just part of the 3rd trumpet. In the FAQ section on his site, Raymond addresses the question of what about the 2 witnesses that must first come. He says that they were Harold Camping and Robert Fitzpatrick. His claim is that they announced his return on May 21st of this year. As I said earlier, our Creator announced in advance through his true prophet that the 4th trumpet began to sound on this day. Is old Raymond the 4th trumpet? Revelations 8:12, and the 4th angel sounded, and a 3rd part of the sun was smitten, and a 3rd part of the moon, and a 3rd part of the stars. so as a third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and night likewise. Is it possible that he has begun to fulfill this? Could his blasphemous lies take out a third part of the scattered nations of Israel by darkening the light that lights the world in their hearts and minds? He is certainly moving forward by building his priesthood, and he has an organization behind him that is well funded. In any case, he is certainly part of it because he came forward on this day. This day certainly being the day of the fourth trumpet beginning to sound. Just add it up. A true prophet who our Creator's word testifies to it, declares May 21st as the blowing of the fourth trumpet well in advance, and then a man appears on the web that day claiming to be the Messiah. Could this just be a coincidence? I have yet to hear in any of his teachings preach the need for people to turn to our Creator's Torah, yet the prophecies are many that the reason that his judgment is being sent is because the scattered nations of Israel have forsook his Torah. Granted, I did not listen to very many of them because they are filled with lies, but I listened to enough of them to know that he does not speak the truth, nor does he even speak of the truth. It is clear from my brief overview of his teachings that he has no regard for why we were created and what was given to perfect us in our Creator's image. I did not even hear the Torah mentioned by him. Yet Yeshua, the true Messiah, said that he did not come to get rid of one punctuation mark from within it until heaven and earth pass away. Malachi prophesied that one would come in the spirit of Elijah that would precede Yeshua's return, and he would come restoring the paths of old and turning the hearts of the people to the children to the patriarchs and such, and their hearts back toward the children. This man claims that he himself was sent to prepare the way. Is that how it happened when John the Baptist preparing the way for Yeshua the first time that he came? Did Camping and Fitzpatrick accomplish the role of the two witnesses? They did not lie dead on the streets of Jerusalem for 3.5 days, nor did they turn the water into blood, nor did they stop the rains, nor did they prophesy the meaning of the 1260 days, nor did they cause plagues and such. But this guy Raymond has a spin for everything. He has a spin for this as well. He says that they disappeared for 3 days after their failed prophecy of the Messiah coming on May 21st didn't happen. And they arrived, they came back on the scene 3 days later with their faith intact. That's the typical way he spins it off if you listen to his nonsense. Yet, sadly, like I said, because of the other reasons I just talked about, people will listen to him. He does not fulfill any of the prophecies as they are written, but he spins them off in another direction. I have been praying for the destruction and the plagues to come forth, but in my Father's perfect timing, and they have been. And there is no spin-off of the truth. He just keeps revealing more truth, and the prophecies keep tying in together. Like this one that's being given today with the fourth trumpet. I had no idea how that was going to tie in, but I knew the fourth trumpet had began to sound when he gave it. You can read Raymond's 25 points of evidence, and they are full of the same types of hoopla as this situation with the two witnesses. Of course, the donate here button is activated on his side. After all, he needs money to operate. His clever deceptions will deceive many, and he has been molded by his father, the devil, for a very long time. This has been a very carefully orchestrated deal setting this up, and talk about the organization that's behind him, helping him set it up as well, and what he's a part of. It is more than just a coincidence that his appearing to the world came on the exact day that my father had already given that his fourth trumpet would begin to blow. If any of you think that it is just a coincidence, I am sure that you are of the same group that has chosen to deny my Father's word, that when the Ezekiel 24 sign comes forth, then you can know that it is from him. I could go on for hours with Raymond's false claims, with proof of how they are proven to be false by my Father's measuring rod. In this video, I just picked a small sample of his blasphemies. But the reality is, it would not matter to most of you anyway, because you will choose to believe his lies or the lies of another one of Satan's servants, because he's got plenty of them set up. Raymond comes forward being validated by the Knights Templar. The Knights Templar was officially endorsed by the Catholic Church in 1129. The Roman Catholic Church is the mother whore of Babylon as defined by the scriptures. Is this a good endorsement to have in your profile if you are the Messiah? The history of both the Templar and the Roman whore are full of bloodshed and killing the true saints of the Most High. The Templar has its ties to modern-day Freemasonry as well, and they are closely affiliated with each other. Freemasonry is also a very dark organization. I'm not going to go into that in this site. Most of you on the internet anyway can look that up and see just how dark Freemasonry is. And now the darkness has brought forth their false version of the Messiah on the very day that the fourth trumpet began to sound. I marvel at this. This man openly admits to being tied to these two organizations. He's not even ashamed of it. He's not even ashamed of bearing their red cross that they have. Bears it on his sash or whatever. It's just abominable. Of course, the churches in Christianity don't think that Freemasonry and the Templar are bad either, because they keep their heads buried in the sand so they don't have to pay any attention to evil. This is all unfolding before our eyes, but so few of you will hearken to the truth that has been given to you, because the truth is just too much for you, so you will believe one of these liars that step forward. This self-proclaiming Messiah who calls himself Lord Rael will bring forth many signs. He will speak of hidden mysteries of physics and such and things like this, and his teachings will lead the eyes of many away from the truth that they should be focused on. His lead their eyes away from the light. The truth is the Logos of Elohim. It is the same Logos that judges this man to be false.